Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dr. Rhonda Farrell, the founder of CSTGIA, bringing you week 12 from defensive autonomy to resilient ecosystem, securing what we don't control. Over the past several weeks in CSTGIA, we have moved through a critical evolution. Week 7 forced us to confront machine speed governance. Week 8 expanded the lens to risk convergence across ecosystems. Weeks 9, 10, and 11 exposed the rise of AI-powered and agentic adversaries, introduced defensive autonomy systems that learned faster than attackers. And now week 12 confronts the next reality. Even adaptive defense is not enough if the environment itself is not resilient. Because in 2026, the most critical risks are no longer inside your organization. They likely exist in your supply chain, in your AI dependencies, in your partner security posture, in systems you rely upon but do not control. This is the shift. Cybersecurity is no longer just about protecting systems. It is about stabilizing ecosystems. The 2026 inflection point is ecosystem level risk. Recent global developments are making one thing clear. AI is accelerating both innovation and attack surfaces. Critical infrastructure is becoming digitally interdependent. Software supply chains are deeply entangled, and nation state and criminal actors are targeting systemic disruption, not isolated breach. We are seeing cascading outages from single points of failure, third-party compromises impacting entire sectors, API and cloud misconfigurations exposing interconnected systems, and AI tools introducing shared vulnerabilities across enterprises. The pattern is consistent. You are only as secure as the ecosystem you operate in. So the hidden risk is outsourced exposure. Organizations have spent years strengthening internal defenses. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Your organization will likely have outsourced infrastructure, data processing, AI capabilities, software development, and likely identity layers, which means you have also outsourced risk exposure. This creates three systemic vulnerabilities. Dependency risk, because if a critical vendor fails, your operations fail. Visibility gaps, because you cannot defend what you cannot see. And control illusion. Contracts create accountability. They do not necessarily create resilience. So the new model, well, it's an ecosystem resilience architecture, because to operate effectively in 2026, organizations must shift from defensive autonomy into ecosystem resilience. This requires three structural capabilities. One, extended visibility. You must be able to see beyond your perimeter. This is inclusive of supply chain dependencies, third-party access points, API exposure mapping, AI model dependencies, data flow across ecosystems. Because without this, you are operating with partial awareness. And partial awareness creates systemic risk. Two, shared defense models. Cybersecurity is no longer a solo function. Organizations must participate in threat intelligence sharing, align on cross-sector response protocols, establish joint resilience exercises, and coordinate with public-private partnerships, because attackers also collaborate. Defenders must do the same and better. Third, resilience by design, not reaction. The question is no longer, can we prevent disruption? The question now is, can we continue operating successfully through that disruption? This requires redundancy in critical systems, failover architecture, business continuity aligned to cyber scenarios, and predefined degradation modes. Resilience is not recovery. It is continuity under pressure. So leadership shifts from control to coordination must evolve again and again. Cyber leaders must now operate across internal systems, external dependencies, regulatory expectations, and cross-sector collaboration. The new leadership question is, how do we coordinate resilience across systems we do not own? This requires influence, not just authority, alignment, not just enforcements, strategy, and not just tools. Workforce reality is that cyber is now a team sport. The workforce implications are clear. Cyber resilience now depends on procurement teams to mitigate vendor risk, legal teams to mitigate through contract structures, operations to help mitigate through continuity planning, and executives to mitigate through delegated decision authorities. Cybersecurity is no longer a function, it is ultimately a cohesive, holistic organizational capability. So, what are our strategic implications for 2026? Well, organizations that adapt to ecosystem resilience will reduce cascading failure risk. They will improve recovery speed. They will strengthen partner trust. They will gain regulatory confidence. They will maintain operational continuity. In organizations that do not, well, they will experience invisible exposure, reactions to disruptions they cannot control, struggle mightily with fragmented response, and lose massive amounts of trust during systemic events. So our week 12 reflection is this. Ask yourself, does your organization have visibility into the full digital ecosystem? Which third-party dependencies represent the highest amount of risk? Would you be able to operate if a critical vendor fails tomorrow? Can we participate, or are you participating in shared defense ecosystems, or are you trying to operate alone? And is resilience designed or simply assumed through your control framework, your supposedly complying with? If the answers are unclear, the risk is probably readily active within your organizational ecosystem. So our week 12 actions is to conduct an ecosystem risk checkpoint, identify one mission critical dependency, a vendor, a platform, a solution, and evaluate what happens if it fails. How quickly can you respond? Do you have alternative pathways in place? Do you have complete visibility into your security posture? Then take one step forward to strengthen your resiliency. One dependency, one action, one layer stronger. Rinse, repeat, daily or weekly. Our closing thought for today is that the cybersecurity challenge of the past was always protection, but the challenge of the present is real-time adaptation. The challenge of the future, likely greater amounts of interdependence on an ongoing basis. Because in 2026, we are not just securing a system, we are securing a network of interreliance. And the organizations that lead successfully through this change will not be those that defend best in isolation. They will be those that anticipate disruption, absorb impact, adapt in real time, and continue forward without breaking. That is the true cyber advantage. Again, I'm Dr. Rhonda Farrell, the founder of CSTGIA, bringing you week 12 of CSTGIA 2026, from defensive autonomy to resilient ecosystems, securing that which we don't control.